We have some breaking news here. Trump's Department of Justice has just filed a lawsuit against Southern California Edison over the Eaton fire and another California wildfire that happened a couple of years ago. This is the height of hypocrisy, given that Trump was blaming Democrats and their forest management in California and the environmental policies in California for wildfires. I'm Shant Karnikian. This is Civil Action on the Legal AF Network, and we're talking today about a lawsuit that was just filed by the Trump administration against the utility company that's alleged to have caused the Eaton fire that occurred in January of this year. This lawsuit was filed in the Central District of California, and it alleges that Southern California Edison is responsible for burning over 8,000 acres of the Angeles National Forest. That's one of the national forests out here in Southern California. Now, we represent hundreds of families that were impacted by the Eaton fire. We represent a number of survivors in the Eaton fire, and the other fire over which they're suing, there's a second lawsuit, is the Fairview fire that happened a couple of years ago. We also represent a number of families impacted by that as well. In this lawsuit, they're claiming that corporate negligence by Southern California Edison is what caused the wildfire. And this is the hypocrisy at its finest with the Trump administration, because just after these fires, very recently, in fact, in January of 2025, on January 8th, the day that Los Angeles was burning down, we had fires in Palisade, we had fires in the Altadena neighborhood and Eaton Canyon. Donald Trump tweeted, and I'm going to read this. He said, "This is all his fault," when referring to Gavin Newsom. He claimed that Gavin Newsom is to blame for this. And even going back a few more years, in August of 2018, he tweeted that bad environmental laws are causing wildfires. In November of 2018, in reference to the Paradise Fire that happened in Northern California and the Woolsey Fire that happened out here in Los Angeles, he said that there is no reason for these massive, deadly, and costly forest fires except that forest management is so poor. He, again, tried to blame the California government. He tried to blame the governor. Back then it was Jerry Brown. Now it's Gavin Newsom. It's all of these Democrats that are causing these fires. Well, it turns out that that was all bullshit. And it turns out that the Trump administration actually believes that it's Southern California Edison that caused these fires. At least that's what they're alleging in this lawsuit. Now, we're involved in these lawsuits against Southern California as well. And what they're arguing is sort of consistent with the theory that we're presenting in those lawsuits against Southern California Edison on behalf of the families. I think the other element of hypocrisy here is that the right has pushed so long for tort reform. Tort reform is the argument that lawsuits are out of control and there's too many frivolous lawsuits. Now, when people file these lawsuits and seek millions of dollars for real harm that they suffer, people like our clients who've lost their homes and in some instances even lost loved ones, the right argues that lawsuits are out of control. This is going to lead to a windfall. These are frivolous lawsuits, and they call for tort reform. You have governors like Brian Kemp in Georgia that's trying to push tort reform and trying to stop frivolous lawsuits. And in some states, they have been successful. The Republican legislatures and governors in those states have pushed bills that limit how much attorneys can recover. They limit how much insurance companies are responsible for. They make it harder for real people to file lawsuits. They basically close down courthouse doors. And that's a big rallying cry for the far right. But I guess it doesn't apply when the federal government, when the Trump administration is harmed by corporate negligence. They're totally fine with the U.S. attorney in the Central District pursuing this lawsuit against Southern California Edison. And that's really what's happening here. So this is just a breaking news update on this lawsuit that was recently filed. We'll keep following this. Look, I think the bottom line here is that, you have the Trump administration just admitting what the MAGAverse and Trump and his cronies have been saying for years. They're contradicting exactly what Trump has been saying, that wildfires are caused by Democrat policies. They're caused by environmental laws because the government doesn't rake the forest, and the California government should release the water, and just a bunch of nonsense like that. And this cuts directly against that, because it's an admission that they too believe that it's corporate negligence that actually causes fires. And what you have here is when a corporation causes a natural disaster like this, a mass disaster like this, if it's people that are pursuing the lawsuit, you have the right complaining that we need tort reform and we have too many frivolous lawsuits in this country. But when it's the government that sustained the loss, like you have here, when it's the Trump administration that has a lawsuit, they have no problem of filing a lawsuit. Look, the hypocrisy here is just so blatantly obvious. The question becomes, are voters going to hold them accountable? Are voters going to call them out for this? And I think they will. We'll keep following this lawsuit. We'll keep you updated on what's happening here. And thanks for tuning in. I'm Shant Karnikian. This is Civil Action on the Legal AF Network. If you have any comments, drop those below. Hit the subscribe button if you like this content, and we'll keep you posted on any developments here.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.